Now, if I go now to a community, I'm going to go to just one community, and this particular community we're looking at here is an engineering course at the University of Illinois with which I've been involved. We're doing a research project there, and the professor in this course is Jenny Amos. The other people listed there are various teaching assistants and research assistants. In fact, it's a pretty small class. There are only 9 members in this particular class, but the interesting thing is this is about time and space that I'm talking, is that 2 of the students are actually in Sierra Leone in Africa, and this course is about technology innovation where there are limited resources in medicine. So medical innovation or technology innovation for medicine in places where there are limited resources. Now, all of these items in the activity stream did come up on my big activity stream along with a zillion other things, but this is a filtered down version just of the activity happening in this activity, in this particular community, and as you can see, it's an infinite scroll in the same way that Facebook and Twitter have infinite scrolls. Now, one thing that's different about this is we allow you to filter activity, which of course Facebook and Twitter are never going to allow, because they're going to decide what they want to sell to you, and they're going to decide what gets prioritized in your feed. I'm going to go into one of the updates now inside this course, Engineering 298, and this is an update made by the professor on sustainable design. You can see here she's put in some text. She's also put some audio in line.
Technologies for global health purposes.
What she's done is she's chunked it up into small pieces. A minute
As
here,
has been mentioned many times.
2 minutes there, a diagram here, some illustrations, some points, and so on. And in fact, this is the 21st century version of a lecture. It's not just a video like the flipped classroom. It's a combination of media which are put together, which includes little fragments which are part of a lecture, includes texts, might include an article to read, and so on. But most importantly, it's not just telling, it's beginning a dialogue, okay? And this is the beginning of the students' responses to that dialogue. Every single student responds. And they start talking to each other. See that, Alison, at David? And this is classical. And by the way, if I wanted to join the conversation, I just go add a comment down the bottom, and that goes into the stream. So this is classical classroom discourse. But the interesting thing is, it doesn't matter that the students are not together. They could all be together. So if you've got 100 students in a lecture theatre, they could all be talking in this space live and talking to each other live and talking to each other much more effectively, I might say, than simply turning to the person beside them and talking to them. It could be live and it could be in the same space, but also it doesn't have to be. So in this case, it's something that happened overnight, and there were students in Sierra Leone who were able to join into this space. But the important thing is that whether it's live or not, it's very different from classroom discourse in ways that I'm going to describe and analyse in a moment. But also, there is no difference between the form of discourse, whether it's in person at the same time or at a distance and asynchronous. To give you an example of one other kind of activity in this space, this is the kind of space that also gives students an opportunity to be the textbook themselves, to make contributions, to be knowledge producers, and not just consume the content and react to the content given to them by the professor. So, for example, in this week, all of the students had to talk about one particular type of disease and possible responses to that disease. In this case, this particular student was talking about cholera and diarrheal diseases, and this was their post. So they were actually creating content, sourcing that content, so their knowledge was not just based on their opinion. It's actually building really substantial content knowledge and sourcing it. And then the other students are responding to it. So what we've done here is we've reconfigured the student as a knowledge producer. Again, whether this is happening with a real live classroom in real time, or whether it's happening asynchronously with people not in the same space, the architecture makes no difference. And in both cases, I would argue, it's a superior architecture to classical conversation. Now, I'm not trying to say that classical conversation should go away. It's going to be there. But there are many great advantages in this form of discourse, which I'm going to talk about now. But my main point really is it blurs the boundaries, which were the classical boundaries, the confinements of time and space in the classical classroom.